Well, hello. Getting things in order here so that I can relay some value. And today I'm going to talk about one of the best selling books that I captured literally six of the segments in this book. This book is only 225 pages, but it's from William Bridges, who produced a number of books over the years. But this was kind of his final pulling it all together with all the life experiences. It's called The Way of Transition. And I first encountered Bill Bridges back when I was graduating from college and trying to decide which way and where in the United States I wanted to go in pursuing my career. I had finished college. I got involved in leadership in college, and a lot of the alumni enlightening associations that you would go to other colleges and meet other student leaders. And I found it very stimulating. And I found that my personality was drawn out and I could magnify the dynamics of that. So when I got out of school, I had been looking at a variety of the standard books recommended by your advisors about career. You know, what color is your parachute, and so on and so forth. But one of them that I really related well to was Transitions. And that book came out quite a number of years ago by Bill Bridges. And so I used that book to understand that I could not, well, I already knew that from college, that I couldn't make a living as an archaeologist, even though I was passionate about it. Always walking the fields after rains, picking up items from whether they were 100 years old or 5,000 years old and collecting them and looking for patterns. That motivated me to go find the history and the stories. That was my best education, evolution, even more so than all the linear memorization classes that you go through in grade school and high school. So the way of transition, I want to get to it here and tell you what you can find in the library. This is just one of many books. So I have, what you'll find in the library is these are the completed printout, went through them, and I created all these. I created them using my breakthrough invention of evolving geometry and archaeology and my interest in speed reading in a book and dissecting out the best parts in the hotspots. So with the way of transition, you know, it starts out, well, the way I started it out is you can find the all six of these, and they look like this when you go to them. That's the first page on each one. They're consistent. There's a introduction page which talks about Bill Bridges and the experience of completing or reviewing these shared wisdom pattern snapshots, 7 portraits, reports. Oh boy, how do you simplify it? Huh? How do you simplify it? Well, I'm going to just start out with that and do what we can. So what Bridges did in this last book, and he didn't have these experiences in his earlier books, is his wife of 35 years, Mondi, M-O-N-D-I, got cancer. And, you know, they already had grown daughters, and it really was a journey for him. A lot of people just kind of gather it together after that, but he was a writer. That's where he was more of an introvert. Mondi was more of an extrovert. and they worked well together in a lot of ways, and other ways they're very different. So he got his enjoyment from writing, thinking and writing, and that's what led him towards transitions, and that's where he got his first notoriety with that first book. But then things really started to change, and this book, The Way of Transitions, came after he lost his wife, after he questioned his competence in being a what do you want to call it, a presenter of what he knows in his books, going out to seminars and all that. He started to just totally questioned his whole reality, and he had to redefine his reality as well, because 35 years with a woman that helped you tell you whether you had the same color socks on, that gave you the emotional support, a good marriage. Nothing perfect, and he admitted it, but it was exceptional. Big difference. So I will share a few things that I experienced. So the first of the 6 SWOOP series that I dissected as hotspots out of his book, they start out, and I've already done these with the response report. So once you print these, and I'm sorry, you got to print them because it's very tactile. And all the books that I've read where people had the ability to do everything with EI, not EI at least, that's just evolving now, but the internet, but they did a lot of it manually. And so what I'm trying to do is merge those two, which is the manual understanding of who you are and how you communicate, and identify that so you can retain that and hold it as EI starts to take more and more of what you think and how you identify yourself into a new realm. So that's what these do. So the first SWOOPs you'll find on there is observations during Mondi's dying. And it's pretty heavy, even though he does a great job of making it more than just the sadness of going through that. And he relays very deeply and with emotional words, but he's a writer, so it doesn't go off the deep end with it still is very absorbable. And so that's what this one's about. And a couple of the items that I captured out of the book, dissected hotspots. As you go through these 7 portraits, you'll be selecting using all the dynamics of your brain, which I call your experiential intelligence and your values, beliefs, and convictions, and everything with your self-identity, and how your brain interprets all that when it's language, and the way I positioned it here so that the brain doesn't just start with the training and scripting you have at the top left and start reading down the page. The heart of it is in the center. And then after the heart of it, then there's an introduction to it. So SWOOPs number 3 for the first series. And, he'll start out and say, I don't believe that Mondi's illness and suffering were sent to teach her or me anything. But together with her ultimate death, they did teach both of us a great deal. As she struggled along day by day for more than 2 years, she progressed from being simply a sick, frightened person to being someone who found a great deal of meaning in her sickness and uncovered new depths within it because of her discoveries. That's just a little bit of an intro. And, things that I noticed that I captured is just what she relayed to her friends during the sickness, while she was going through it, and then Bill's own personal dynamics. And then they were sitting there on the hospital bed, and it says, this positive thinking stuff is crap, she said to Bill one evening as I sat on her hospital bed. But then, so is negative thinking. They both cover up reality, which is that which we just don't know what's going to happen. That's the reality we have to live with. but it is easy to see why people take refuge in optimism or pessimism. They both give you an answer, but the truth is that we just don't know. What a hard truth that is. And you could apply that to a lot of things. But again, with bridges, this book is really somebody that was going to be profuse with words and all the other stuff. And there are books like that I'm reviewing. And they're still great books, still bestsellers. But when you got 225 pages, like The Way of Transition, and he covers the complete experience for him and Mondi of 2 years before she died of cancer. And then the experience after that is in this book too, of him evolving past the death, looking introspectively at himself, looking at the meaning in his life, his work, and all that. That's a whole nother aspect of it that's in here. So after the first SWIP series, the next one I captured, which is part of the Mondi, Letting Go of My Life with Mondi. And that's another good one. And again, if you can read the book, the pages where I got these hot spots are right on there. So if you want more, but if you want a quick infusion, I hate to use quick, but everybody today wants it fast. There's so many books, but there's so little attention for it. And at the end of the day, when you're tired, when do you find time to really thoroughly read? So with this, I've used a combination of my skills with archaeology and geometry and all that to set up things to engage the whole brain and your whole consciousness and subconsciousness and your intuition and your biases, all that, because look, it's words and you got to translate it from your scripting. So I tried to make it as flowing and as dynamic, but yet as still not too much. So this one, like he's saying on what I call portrait number 5 in the second series, it is more than a year after she died, Mondi, before I was able to sort out what were many issues were my issues and what were hers in the matter of being able to be worthy of love. So he talks a bit about love. Again, this is a very deep and profound area. If you're younger, maybe you don't want to do this part of the book, but you definitely want to do the other SWIPs I've done, which are The Way of Transition by that, and the other one is Transition's Journey into the Neutral Zone. Both of these really define what I've done with my life. And it defines everybody's life. You can find real power with this. So The Way of Transition, that one, I guess the way to say it is very few of today's younger, on-screen, easy access AI or digital placated generations, which could be any age. I see a lot of people on their smartphone that are 65 years old or 70. A lot of them in their 40s and 50s, not just at work, but just doing whatever they can do. They're not even aware of the value of stories of learned advice, like of the elderly and all that. And, the elderly today, they're not, they weren't really raised in in a generation where they didn't have some exposure to high tech and digital and email. But anyway, with The Way of Transition, that print out journeys, unlike point-to-point trips, have a way of doubling back on themselves so that you find yourself dealing again and at another level with issues you thought that you had left behind. I find that in the aftermath of Mondi's death and in my own bereavement, that I like individuals presenting in seminars more than groups. So that's one thing. I believe especially that a person's quest for vocation is rich with meaning. At one level, the story of one's work life is no more than one of many biographical strands that make up the fabric of the whole life. But at another level, the vocational journey is for many people the core thread around which others are wrapped. So you can review what he says about transition. He says that the neutral zone is the second transition, has 3 phases. It's that in-between time after you let go of your old job or being single and you finally get married or divorce or travel to a whole new area of this country, letting your kids getting raised. All those are different places of change and evolution of transition. And a lot of the big serious ones, like with the passing of Mondi for William Bridges, or other serious things like health challenges, divorce, who knows? There's all kinds. Then you go through coping with that and trying to get past it and reorganize your life after those transitions. And while you're doing that, you're not really in the new area reorganizing, and you're trying to leave the area behind that has been messed up. And that's what they call the neutral zone. And it really has 3 phases. It's that in-between time, after you let go of your old life and before you have fully discovered and incorporated your new life. The ending and the new beginning are states that are characterized by doing something, letting go and making a new beginning. But the neutral zone is a time when it may seem that nothing is happening, while the other 2 phases of transition are often bracketed by events. But, when you go into transition, or when you finally come out of the neutral zone and you finally say, hey, I think I can really understand how my life is now in the new way. Yeah, the pattern we see looking back from the journey's conclusion is visible, the journey through transition, the neutral zone, and now into your new evolutions of change that have become consistent with your daily life. So journey's conclusion is visible only from a viewpoint of looking back. A planned journey is kind of an oxymoron. Journeys also have the big picture quality too. So he talks about that too in there. But again, each of you can use these SWIP series in a remarkable, individually type way. You can just find one portrait that you really like, or you like one of the summation boxes and one of the hearts of it in there. And that's the thing with print. You can cut them out and then you can scan them into your computer and make your own feed to look at on days when you want a quick review. You got options. Or you can do the complete response report and build in archives. And after you do that, again, you have to make paper, but it's tactile, it's 5 senses interactive. And that's what you want with these response reports, is to record these. Because as time evolves with AI, you're going to be less of who you really were. Your EI, experiential intelligence, and values, beliefs, and convictions are going to be so evolved, so transformed, and integrated in with all the easiness and all the thinking of AI that you've lost who you really were. And I really believe that is the greatest treasure and value you can retain your whole life. It's way beyond pictures of your childhood that you show when you're 70. Oh God, it's way beyond that. It's your thinking, and it's hidden, your hidden patterns that really don't come out through anything else. Way beyond face, vocal recognition, way beyond fingerprint. And it's something you can share with yourself as you grow, to deal with ups and downs and emotional traumas of life as you age. You can share with other people that are intimate with you, as long as you get on the same page what you're doing with it and enjoying it. And I really believe there's going to be people out here that are going to figure out a way to match up the dynamics of our EI and values, beliefs, and convictions at this deep level on any topic. and merge a compatibility of connection. So that's what I'm thinking. So that's my initial overview of the first book of the mini in my website library. And you have a great day. And if you don't know if you're in transition or in a neutral zone, or if you feel down about things, they say you can go talk to a psychologist about it. You can see it on the TV all the time for depression and down and what to do about it. Well, there's a lot in this life to get you down, and it's always been that way. Whether it was World War I, World War II, you name it. So this is a great tool. Find a way to use it. Use it when you want. Use it how you want. And I know there'll be real value there. But you got to develop a routine. You got to develop a little ritual. You got to do this on a regular basis in between everything else you got going on. And I suppose I don't want to really totally compare it to going to the gym, because you can do it totally, But if you want to go to the gym and stay in shape, if you want to, you got to do repetitions of it. But these are more interesting than being in a bench press or something. But maybe you want to do both. Take care.